Dear Andrew, we have got your festive season needs covered. Apply for a B something loan of Kenya shillings 39,675 by simply dialing that. Now, these are common messages that we often get in our phones from different financial institutions, from different loaning, from different credit providers. They are very common. Utakaa mpaka mshwari wanakuambia sijui your mshwari limit kidogo kidogo, freezer, sijui you can do what. And debt is one of the critical things that you cannot ignore when it comes to matters personal finance. When discussing personal finance, the term debt or debt management should be part of that discussion. Once you leave it out, it is not complete. And the topic that I wish to discuss today, I think that the best title that I can give to this conversation is that don't borrow simply because you can, or don't borrow simply because you qualify. Now, to bring what I mean by debt into context and why we need to think about debt and debt management as individuals. Every now and then you hear someone talking about the debt that our country Kenya, sijui mara we are at the risk of defaulting. Why should we worry? Because we have a lot of debt, we are about to default, or such stories. So even at the individual level, it is something that should keep you worried. Having a lot of debt that you are not able to manage, you are not able to repay as agreed by whoever that provided the debt. So it is important to try as much as you can, and not to get yourself into debt situations. And one of the things that makes us Kenyans think of borrowing or make us to borrow, it is such promotional messages that we get through our mobile phones. Maybe you really didn't need that money, but simply because the money is available, you just decide to take it, forgetting that it is not a grant. It is money that you'll be required to pay. So you end up taking the money without having a good plan of what to do with it. That is one. And the other one, without a good plan of how to repay the loan. And kama hiyo SMS nimesoma hapo, it's simply that telling that we got your festive season covered. And sorry to say that majority of the festive season expenses that we get to incur, they are mostly emotional. Si biashara mingi zinafunguliangwa festive season, that is December. So majority of the expenditure are usually emotional. So utachukua hiyo loan ya 40,000 and get to spend it in an emotional way. Kutesa hapa na pale, kuprove points hapa na pale, and you will not get it until you get to January and you find yourself between a rock and a hard place. That's when you even start remembering that that you have a loan that you had borrowed, and sasa hapo ndo sasa hata kulipa itaanza kuwa ngumu juu you can't really explain what you did with the money. Anyway, you covered your festive season expenditures, but unfortunately you cannot give us the fund that you carried from the festive season. Now, how do these messages get to come to you? And from my belief, or from what I believe happens, is that you see, all these companies that are offering new loans, their main purpose is not for you to kusaidika. Hapana, hawako hapo kukusaidia. They are there to drive their numbers and get to drive their profits. I think interest from loans is one of the biggest contributor to profit of the financial institution that we have around. And let's make it clear that and I have done another video saying that not all debts are bad. I'm specifically talking about that loan that you will take simply because you qualify. And what gets to happen is that let's say company ABC, their numbers are not going so well. Like maybe the disbursements of loan have gone down, and they get to call themselves for an in-house meeting. And this is where that the head of credit tells the employees that they need to come up with ways that they will use to drive to push the numbers. Na employee moja ameketi pale nyuma kabisa anasema, I have an idea. What can we do? We can send messages or SMSs to our existing customers, to our potential customers, and we get to notify them of a product of the amount that they qualify. And that's how that messages gets to come to you. I think you have we have ever seen in movies where scenarios where things in the battlefield gets too tough, and a soldier just decides to shoot indiscriminately, like they are just shooting indiscriminately, hoping that a few of the bullets that he gets to shoot will get to the opponent and get to hurt them. It's the same way wakati mambo imekuwa ngumu pale kwa driving numbers now the organization decides to shoot indiscriminately, like they just decide to send SMSs right, left and center and everywhere that they can. And owing to you if you are that person who gets shot by that bullet that was shot indiscriminately, owing to you if you are that person that will always be made to take an emotional decision because of that message that you get to receive. So there are some people who once they see that they qualify for a loan, regardless of whether they need it or they don't need it, they'll go for it. And if you form a habit of doing that, you will definitely find yourself into a debt crisis, because you have a lot of debt that you took without plans, simply because you got a message notifying you that you qualify for a debt. So I think it is good that before you get to taking a debt, or before you get to borrowing, ensure that you have a plan of what we are going to do with the loan, and if possible, it need to be something that will help you to create more money, and have a plan of how to repay, because a loan is not a grant, and a loan is expensive, whether taken from a financial institution, whether taken from a friend, a colleague or something. So don't take a loan without a plan of how to pay, or without have an intention of paying, because in the long run it will be expensive. And don't take, my point is that don't borrow simply because you qualify. These are messages that you will continue to receive each day, but if you get to fall into the trap, you will always get yourself in debt crisis. So the best thing that you can do is that once you receive such a message, just ignore that you did not see it. But if someday comes that you find yourself between a rock and a hard place. Now you can go and review the messages and see where you can seek some help, but ensure that you don't take a loan simply because you can qualify, because in the long run it will mess you up. So avoid, avoid, and avoid.